Because I had to. And only because I had to. I know November is a few months away, and it's only, well, September now. September, October, November. So 2.5 months until breaks into 6. Yay! I'm not saying it's my favorite convention. I love all the conventions I've been to. I loved every single one of them. I mentioned that in the video the other day, that I loved every show I've ever done. I know there were some issues in some of the shows I did, but the show themselves, all of them were fantastic. Mostly because of the people I got to hang around for the weekend. Because again, I keep on saying this, shows are now my favorite, literally my favorite part of the hobby. The building is secondary. I have this layout so I can go to shows and actually, you know, feel like I should be there. Shows and the people at the shows are why I'm passionate about this hobby right now. And it might change, because before, for years, I didn't do shows for, you know, from as a kid to 1998. And I just love playing with Lego and building and creating and making Lego Wars here on the YouTubes. If you want to go find it, it's called Lego Wars, made by me and Jake and Pete. And but we didn't do shows. I didn't start doing shows until the RCX came out, and then I started doing robot competitions, and then that led to bigger and better shows. But every show I've ever done, I've loved, literally loved, and it has been mostly because of the people I get to hang out with for the show. And so I work on this to have something to present at a show. It has been in the layout before, and I don't think too many people have noticed it, which is fine, because it's not something I've drawn attention to. Like I've said that these base pieces are pretty old, all things considered in the grand scheme of things. I had to build a big enough base to make the tower look like it should. The base itself went through, the base of the tower, went through a variety of iterations. I had the whole thing CADed at once, an ML CAD, on a laptop that died years ago, and I didn't seem to have backups, which was very, very odd, because I usually have backups of everything, being IT and all. Or it's on one of the 15,000 hard drives I have in this house that haven't cleared off yet. But as it is, I do not have this thing CADed anymore, and the tower has changed a lot since my first rendition of the CAD. So there is an evolution between virtual and physical. I built the physical landing pads first, and then I CADed the landing pads, and then I was building the tower, and then I virtualized the tower to see how I wanted to do things. The tower originally was just 4 of these on front, back, side to side, and with a monorail station in the back, which was not like this. It was built into the curve of that, and that was virtual. And I said, that'd be a tough time building this with a monorail going through it, because the curves and the straights and blah, blah. So I said, that's too much work, and it was. And it wasn't going to look good. It didn't have the space, because again, this is only 1 base plate wide for a monorail station, whereas this is 3 base plates wide. It goes 3 base plates. It's 96 studs long, and it goes right from the edge of the base plate to the other edge of the other base plate. So it is 96 longs all the way through there, and all the way through here for the trains. And I thought that was brilliant. So so I CADed originally just to having the monorail station go through this piece that was in the back. And I said, that's stupid. I started extending the tunnels out each side, and so there'd be like a curve, this like curve here, and then go in the tunnels. I said, there's too many angles, too many, I couldn't fill in the gaps and blah, 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 whatever, I'm not gonna do it. So eventually the tunnels that I had built off of this curve, basically I said, I'm just gonna continue to tunnel all the way through and make it nice and square, which turned out to be the best idea I ever had, because I like this back. You've seen I can't turn it right now, of it. I like the back of my tower. I think it looks really cool with the symmetry and blah, blah, blah. And when people get to see it, they always comment on it, that it looks pretty awesome. So there is that. So that was an evolution between CADing and actual physically building it. I never actually built the curve with the tunnel going through it. I never physically built that. I did it in CAD first, and I said, this is gonna suck. Straight up, it's gonna suck. Because what I wanted to maintain the 4 curves, front, back, side, side. Because it would look like a clover, like 4-leaf clover or something like that. I don't know exactly what I was going for, but I thought that was going to be really, really cool to have the tower look like that. So all 4 sides would be quote unquote symmetrical. But I thought after CADing it, I said, this looks like Drek. And so I said, scrap it. And with the CADing, I got rid of the curve and I just extended the tunnels through. And I said, ooh, that's going somewhere. And it was just the top tunnel that was held up by the supports, the 10 bricks tall supports, because the train didn't go through here at that time. Train was outside, and I thought, well, I did this whole thing, this whole row for the monorail. I think repeating it in the step down for the train would look better, and I did that physically. So when I built this, there were some of those angle supports, those 5 brick high ones that came in, you know, the Galaxy Commander, the white ones or the blue ones. They were outside, but you can see inside. I think if you look at some of the old pictures, you'll see inside the angled supports. And I don't think I have any that are immediately accessible. One of my favorite pieces. There's a whole bunch, so it looks like in universe. I want to say, this is going to be pretty esoteric, but if you remember Spock's quarters in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, you saw that angled support that came to the little V of the holding up to whatever. I always like that inside a building, inside space, because it looks like then it's physically there's support structure that looks cool. So when Pete made the video, and you saw the monorail going through there, and he's pulling back, you can see the supports in there. I think it adds to it. Like, this interior is entirely interiored. That's my new famous way of saying it. The interior is entirely interiored. Ooh, a light fell in. I could make it better, maybe, but people never see it. So, but anyway, that's how this back piece evolved. It was a combination of CADing and physically building it, and in the end, physical building it won out as the best. And then I re-CADed it with this. This was then CADed into the final completion of the tower, and life went on from there. So, so before I talk about what I'm going to talk about here, I also want to tilt up, because people ask, and I think I've demonstrated this a lot. So all the connection points between all the various parts that go stacking up all the way to the top, to the cake topper. The cake topper is the only difference. But this piece, the diamond, the monorail station, the observation deck, all 4 of those can be mixed and matched. I could put the diamond right on top of here, and then I can put the monorail station on top of that, although trying to get the monorail all the way up there. I've thought about it, but no. And put this at the very top. The connection points, top and bottom, are identical on here, on the diamond, on the monorail station, and on the observation deck. They're identical, because I'm lazy. and I did have a thought about mixing and matching. I also had a thought, if I was doing a smaller show, and I've done this once or twice at the Mississauga Comic-Con, where I just bring the tower and the rocket launch pad and a few landing pads, and I throw them out there, and that's the entire display, and it takes me not even 10 minutes to set up. And there's one little monorail going between the launch pad and the tower right here. And I like that. I carry 2 boxes, the boxes that have the tower in it, and the landing pad, or the launch pad. That's 2 boxes I need, and a monorail. That's it. a few spaceships. When I did the Mississauga Comic Con years ago, it literally took me under 10 minutes to set it up. I did have to set it up on tables, which I don't mind, but it was small enough that I didn't care, for a one-day show. So I can do a one-day show with the layout just by bringing 2 boxes and setting up the tower. I might do that Turtle Fest next year. I don't know yet. But this is the Dave being a lazy butt way of doing things. So you will see on the bottom the gray, and that's what when I point out to people at shows, wherever you see gray is usually a connection point. But of course, I always put gray here too. So so it's not every gray level, every gray line on the side, because you can see there's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But the bottom looks like this, and you can see there's a void there. So there's a void. There's one plate higher before the inverted slopes there. And on top, I have the tiles. Here's tiles. And then I have the gray 1x2s that are proud, as we say in woodworking. It's above the tiles, the blue tiles. So when you put it on, and this one's the same, you can see the gray sitting up here, and the tiles, the blue tiles below. And you just put it on there like that, and now it can't slip off. That's it. that's the entire connection point between all the levels going up to the cake topper. The cake topper is different because it's smaller, and I can do that obviously. But from here to the cake topper, that's exactly what holds the tower together. You can't push this thing sideways; it will not come off. It can't come off. No, it can lift up, which it did the other day. And smash on the floor, which it did the other day. But that is seriously, that is, and of course, with the weight on it, I mean, it's a little loose right now, but usually it's not that loose. It doesn't move because it's heavy. They are big, heavy pieces. The mocks themselves, the builds, the diamond and the observation deck, they're not going anywhere unless something radically happens to it, like it gets really, really offset from the weight, and it's going to fall over and smash on the floor. And we have now evidence of such disaster. But that's exactly what I did. The original concept that I had, because I borrowed it from my LL Destiny, and nobody has to remember the LL Destiny, but that's my my foray into ship timber, my friend Simon's ship timber builds. Years ago, I built, it was about 6.5 feet long, and I built it here. The spaceship, a classic spaceship that carried Galaxy Explorers and 918s and all that stuff. I loved it. I used 12 quarter domes in there, transular quarter domes. And I could actually pick it up. The thing was 6.5 feet long, and I could pick it up, which I thought was kind of cool, because what I did is from top to bottom, all the way through the entire structure of this spaceship that I built, I used Technic beams. As I have like 200 to 400 1x16 black Technic beams that I used for that, and I double thicked them so they'd be, and then of course in an octagon shape, so there's 16 Technic beams at any given point holding that entire ship together. So you could actually pick it up with 2 hands. And that was pretty heavy, I'll say that. But and this is going way back, blah blah. And so the concept for here originally was having Technic beams start at the bottom here and build my way up and hold each section together, and then have a way of joining them together with like push pins, like I do with the landing pads. There's push pins right into there that are held together, and then that would keep all the sections together to reduce the amount of play that would take to knock it over. So that was the original concept. When I started building that, especially with the diamond, the big diamond piece, it got far too bulky. And one of my favorite parts of the tower build is that when you're looking at it from any of the 90-degree angles, all you see is trans yellow all the way up, and there's nothing inside. You don't see, like, it's empty inside because people are living there and doing their jobs, right? It's like office space or whatever. So I didn't want to block the light coming through with Technic beams. which is what I would have had to do. Now I could put them on the outside here, but then that would be noticed, and I didn't want that either. So I quashed the Technic beam idea basically right at the get-go. Never revisited it at all. It has been mentioned at a few shows, including the one we just came back from, the Brickomania, where somebody said, because they saw the pictures, and they came over and they said, "I can't believe you got it back together." And they also said, "I make sure you thank your wife for that." And I said, "Absolutely, because this would not have been there at Brickomania without Sandy's encouragement for me to fix it." Because I said, "I'm done." Thursday night, I'm done. I'm out. It's just go find something else. But Sandy's encouragement, I absolutely adhere and listen to my beautiful wife, who is a lot smarter than I am and a lot more encouraging than I've ever been. And she said, "We can do this," and we did it. Which is the only reason why the space layout was actually at Brickomania this year. Thanks, Sandy. But had I put Technic beams in here, that disaster may not have happened at all, and if it did happen, it would have been a lot less all over the floor. And so when I was fixing it and going, oh, I remember way back when I was trying to put Technic beams in here, maybe I should try it again. But I said, now that we're semi-retiring this thing, I'm not going to even bother, because it's going to come out less frequently now. So anyway, that's that. I wanted to show people out there how all the layers stick together, and that's it. And since all the layers are identical, because this is one thing I wanted. It wasn't a concrete plan at the time. I mean, it's just lazy. It's cut and paste, if you want to call it that, because all the connection points are identical. But you can mix and match them, and that's, I thought, just like Blacktron, mix and match, move things around if you want to. But because this right here at this level is the monorail station, and there's no other place that monorail station can be, really, then that has to go there. Now this piece can go below or above the diamond. It really can. But putting it above the diamond means that the observation deck is right on top of it. That looks like pretty cruddy. I might at the next show put the observation deck here and put this on top. I don't know yet. I'm pontificating, just to change it up. The good thing about the observation deck, it has the lights that shine down on the landing pad, so that's kind of also one of those things. Like, this is how I built the thing. So there are reasons why the pieces are in the order they're in, blah, blah, blah. But the 17 minutes into this is why I started this video, is to talk about this half curve piece right here. 6824, I could be wrong on that number. My laptop's off, so I can't look it up. It is the shuttle carrying gray vehicle with the white shuttle on it. I got it for Christmas the year I got the 6880, the 6890, that one, and my favorite little white ship, which, did I still have that, or did I put it in a bag? I put it in a bag! When I was cleaning up. How dare I put that one away? I did too. Wow. It was just out here the other day, but I put I cleaned up my shelves. But that little white carrier ship, the ship that gets carried, is one of my favorite little tiny ships. I mean, it's very, very basic. It's wing plates with black antennas and a 2x3 slope with a classical space logo on it, and that's about it. So there ain't much to it. But I wanted a place for them to have, because I call it the training ship, the training spaceship, and I have it over by the rocket launch pad, and I wanted it over here, and so I built a half curve using my patented 4x9 wing plates, and so I built this in this basement without taking this out to see if it fit. And so when I went to Bricks, I think it's the first time I did it was Bricks and Six last year, and I get to the show and I put the whole thing together, and I had completely forgotten, utterly forgotten, well, two things, but the one, I didn't forget the first thing, I just never got around to building it, but the second one is This side over here, and again, you can't see it, but this side over here has the moon base corridors that go over to the train station, the monorail station. The big classic space logo down in the Train Yellow. And so putting ships launching here, they'd be hitting the corridors. So I removed those. You can see there's nothing over here now to launch spaceships. And so they 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Goeden Africana, as Mo used to say. But I left this part here for like meetings or kids hanging out, whatever. And so I was thinking, even back in Bricks in the Six last year and Anime North, did I bring this to Anime North? I think it was busted. I don't think this thing made it to Anime North. I left it in the workbench. this whole half, because it was also broken. Not because of the big tower disaster of 2025, but because it was shipping from Bricks in the Six, or sorry, shipping from Grimsby Brick Shack to here, it broke, and I said I'm not going to bother with it. I don't have time to put it together, because that was what I planned for Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday, is to fix all the other things that needed fixing. But of course, I was rebuilding a tower, so I didn't have time to fix the other stuff that had broken since because I talked too fast, and I'm sorry about that. So there was Bricks in the Six last year. Then there was I set it up at the Brick Shack, I think through Christmas, I can't remember now. I took it down, it was there for a couple months. I took it down to bring it to Anime North this year. So I took it down, that was in May. And then they called me up after Anime North and they wanted it back there again. So I took it back there and set it up for June and July. And then I had the show in Brickomania. So I took it down again. So this thing was set up 3 or 4 times and taken down 3 or 4 times. And I love it at the Brick Shack, because people can just take their time and look at it. It's in the store and it's not doing anybody any harm. There, they love it there, and it attracts customers, which is fine. And I guess forget about it, leave it there. It's like when it was over in St. Jacobs for 6 months. That's perfect for me. if it can be at a store on display where I'm confident by the store owners that it's not going to be touched, I have no problem leaving it in some place for months at a time, because it's out of my garage. So if you want it in your store, and I have faith in you that you're not going to let parts and pieces walk away, you can have it for as long as you want, as long as I don't have a show. But I took it out of the Brick Shack a couple weeks before Brickomania, because I had to fix it, and I had this whole itinerary in my head about the various things I had to fix, including the lighting, because I wanted to do the lighting, because this Brickomania was focused on lighting, and I was all 100% on board with that. And the layout was mostly lit up anyway, but over the years of Anime North and the Brick Shack and the other shows, the wires got broken and blah, 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 that I said I'm going to spend some time fixing that first before I start fixing all the other stuff that needed fixing. So I had all the lighting mostly 100% fixed. And I was just testing it when the tower fell over on Thursday, because again, my itinerary was the lighting is going to be done by Thursday, and it was. And then Friday I'm going to fix these kind of things, and Saturday I'm going to go through all the inventory, make sure I got all my parts and pieces, and then Sunday load the van and drive to Montreal. That didn't happen, because Friday and Saturday I was putting the tower back together. So that is what it is. And so this thing got left home, and I didn't mind. It was just an extraneous thing that it's nice to have, but it didn't have to be there. But when I got home, it was still sitting on the workbench. I'm going, oh, let's fix it and let's test it. So I had to bring out the 3 parts of my base. I don't have the front part because it has nothing to do with this thing. Verify that this thing, and I will say this, I like this better with this on it than with this not on it. I think it looks better, I think it looks cooler, but also it hides a lot of blemishes that I got sick of seeing, which I appreciate. But again, in universe, besides the monorail vehicle that's carrying these shuttles around, there's no way for the space people, of course there's not a space guy, I had a space guy, that's not a space guy, There's no way for a space guy. What is that? No. It's lighting. To get out here, there's no way for the training class to get out here. So I thought, again, when I started developing this, that one of these windows that come off for storage, there, or there, would have a corridor coming out to here. And so that's what I'm working on now. I only need one, so I don't think it's going to be here. I think it's going to be right in the back, where I'm just going to build a quick corridor. And what's going to happen is I'm going to build the inside track using the 4x9 wing plates to the inside, and then there's going to be a step across to get over to this side. And so that's why this is down here right now. It took me a while to bring all the parts and pieces in from the outside, and thankfully the box that had the base of my tower was immediately accessible in the garage, because sometimes it can be buried behind everything else. So I'm happy I didn't have to move boxes around tonight to get at it. I must have had some sort of forethought that that's the part that I had to work on, because this box was immediately accessible. So again, I'm going to take that as a win, that I must have predetermined that. I'll say 100%. Ooh, this is so many things. Like, this thing is so loose, as they say. And then I got this thing here, and I should just fill in and get rid of that. This was originally wires came out of here and then to the thing, but I've changed all that. Because here's the connector right here. Because this used to be inside, but now it's out here. So this one goes to the monorail loop. So there's so many things, like, this looks stupid. There are so many things that I could fix and make better, but right now I'm still adding details. So that's what's happening. So that's what I'm gonna be working on over the next few nights. I don't know if I'm gonna update it, because it's kind of like one of those things that nobody really cares. But the little mini corridor I'm gonna build will just come out to here, and then the people can walk over to, in universe, they can walk over to their training flyers and stuff like that. So it's just one more added feature, and this is what I liked about the layout as it is. It's eminently, I don't think it's the right word, it's so customizable and updatable, and I can just add little things like this. And this thing does fit into one of the boxes, so I don't have this top thing does not fit into a box, but whatever. But this thing does fit into a box, and I like that. So I can just pack it up and bring it to a show, because the monorail carrier does stop here, and I think that's an added service of goodness for people to watch, that the shuttles look like they stop there and whatever. It's kind of a compromise for me. If we want to talk about going way back, I had a RCX claw that would grab the shuttle off the vehicle and move it over to the monorail, and move it from the monorail back onto the vehicle. That worked spectacularly well at home. Didn't last too long at BrickFed, but but it works. And I always liked that thing. I'm not going to do that here. It's just way too much effort, and I don't have the vehicle to do it to. So that's when everything was like flat and whatever. But it gives the impression that the the shuttle carrier is bringing shuttles to the various spots around the layout for training ships. I like that kind of immersive quality to the layout, where, as I've always said, especially at shows when I'm talking about it, people are going, oh, this is kind of neat, and they notice things. And I said, I always, literally since I was 11 years old when I got the 918, I always wanted a place for my red space minifig to live and work and do his job, or her job, whatever the case may be. And so this has been in my head since I was 11 years old. But I also want it to look like it's being lived in, like when you look at it, it's like a snapshot of their day, not just kind of a hodgepodge randomness to it. I wanted wherever you see a minifig that looks like they're going to do something, or they are doing something that's germane or appropriate to a space layout. Now I do have a whole bunch of Easter eggs in there that has nothing to do with classic space, which is fine because people like Easter eggs. But overall, all the space guys have to look like they're doing something. Like this is part of their day. We're just interrupting their part of the day with a snapshot. And so if you look in here, these people are just waiting for their monorail train to pick them up and take them wherever they need to go, kind of thing. So that's what I wanted, and that's overall what people have appreciated, and I appreciate that they did notice. They did notice the effort that was put into the stupid details. I will say again, if you look at this, that it's just bricks on top of 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 bricks all the way up. There's no snot building here at all. There's no fancy new pieces in here at all. This is all old gray and trans yellow and really old blue. And as you can see, it's mostly bricks, mostly basic brick. 99% of my layout, 98% of my layout is basic brick. And brick slopes, if you want to include slopes and bricks. I am stuck. I won't say stuck. I love this era. My building technique is stuck in 1978. If you want to say it that way. But I like it. And I just writ large, as they say, it made it big. So again, I do consider myself somewhat of a hack compared to the wonderful detailed builders that we have now. But again, with this layout, and this is where I'm not trying to be self-deprecating, for this layout being an homage, because that's what I wanted from the get-go, from Greg Hyland's little diorama that he did back at one of our Toy Train and Doll shows, or the hobby show. I wanted a 100% homage to the 3-digit classic space sets. Now there are some 4-digit classic space sets, but I don't care about that. I like that. But every single 3-digit space set is either partially or fully represented in my layout, because that's where my youth is, and that's my 918. My guy's got a job. He's got a place to live. He's got a place to do his job, where he can go explore and do stuff. And so I give myself a huge pass by this kind of building style, because this is the exact building style that we were using in 1978. So I don't mind it, and so I do not try to update this stuff with like snot and a ton of greebling. There's a little bit of greebling here and there, because I always like greebling, but I do not put a lot of effort into the minutiae, the tiniest of details, which you can do now with the parts palette that they have today. There's hardly any piece in here older than 1987. These trans yellow small octagon corners came out in the message intercept base. They might have showed up in other sets too, because I do have lots of them. I'm just trying to figure out, trying to remember if they actually came in other sets. I know they came in trans dark blue a lot, because I got a lot of those, and they came in trans orange, neon orange, and they came in trans red and black, the Space Police too. I just trying to remember if they came more than just the message intercept base in trans yellow. They may have. I just don't remember off the top of my head. I'm something in my head says they did, but again, people out there are smarter than me, and they know what these pieces came in. But that is not 1978. That is the 80s. That's like the mid to late 80s, because they did come in classic space, but there was a bunch of Futuron too, and as I say, Space Police 2 had some, and I don't think there were any in Mtron at all, but they showed up a lot. But that's from 1987 if it's a message intercept base, and the trans yellow dome obviously came out in the message intercept base. The windows, 1978. The windows, the slope windows as later classic space. The sloped windows came in a whole bunch of stuff, including the 6971. Were they with windows? I think. No, I don't think those were with windows. Yes, they were. I think they had. I cannot remember if they actually came with the trans yellow glass in it, but it doesn't matter to me. I know that this 6985, because I have one right up there, came with a whole bunch of trans yellow. And so, oh my goodness, this thing, it's just like, wow. This is, yeah, the slope windows are, there we go. Yeah, this thing needs to be rebuilt. It's just a huge homage, and so there's not too many. The monorail came out in 1987, so that's 1987. I'm looking around, and I do use the new dark blay in the doors. You can see the dark blay, which was well after Classic Space. There are two reasons for that. First of all, I don't have a lot of dark gray to build those doors. and I will say this, I use a 2x4 dark blay tiles for flooring and stuff. Dark blay, trans yellow, and blue, and light old gray look fantastic together. Like it's for me, like maybe it's just I'm colorblind, but I love the offset of dark blay better than dark gray as flooring, as doors, as a highlight color, as an accent color to Classic Space colors. I love dark blay. I make it as like I love dark gray. Don't get me wrong, I love dark gray, but not in this layout. I don't think there's any dark gray in this layout at all. It's all dark blay. If there's a dark gray blay, it's gonna be dark blay. Even in here, the flooring, it's all dark blay. The first time I used dark blay was in my my big huge crater lab thing, and I loved it. Dark blay, yellow, because you can see the yellow in here. I don't know if you can see it. You can see it up here. The warning, do not pass this because you'll get run over by monorail. Dark blay and yellow and blue and trans yellow, magnificent. I absolutely adore dark blay. I'm not a fan of light blay at all, but there's light blay in here. Not necessarily these pieces, this is old school, but there are certain pieces that I needed, certain sets that I have done display, newer sets and stuff like that. So there is light blay in the layout, but I'm not a fan of having it there. But light blay is harder for me to notice, so I just let it go past. So this is what I'm doing. I'm gonna be working on this for a while. It shouldn't take me that long to build and get set up. And again, the wiring is always in the way. There's my buddy Nick right there. He gave me a sig fig. I have a few sig figs in here. I got this one from somebody at the Mountie, and he's on the other side. I got that from Bricks in the Six 2 or 3 years ago, and again, a good friend of mine, won't mention his name, said, I would love it if you put my minifig in your layout. Absolutely, 100% absolutely. and it's still there, 100%. It's going to still be there. I love, I've said it before, I do love seeing it together, even if it's just like these 5 pieces here. I do love seeing it together, and I'm going, when it smashed to bits and I'm putting it back together, I said, how did I build this? But it's like dusting off some obscure portions of your memory, and it came back together. So anywho, that's it, that's all. Less than 45 minutes this time, yay. I'm going to bed now. You guys all stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.